For some, your environment, your work environment is not designed for peak productivity.
The only way to have long-term success, to build long-term wealth, is to be ethical.
Culture eats, write this down, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 to 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 to 9. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Belief Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to create a productive environment, walk your own path, and stop fearing failure with Dan Lok and my take on his top 10 rules of success to give you the confidence, motivation, and belief that you need. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Create a peak productivity environment.
Create a peak productivity environment. This is probably one of my biggest secrets. Create an environment that works for you, not against you, right? So make certain your environment works for you instead of against you. For some, your environment, your work environment is not designed for peak productivity. Sometimes I get this question, does that mean I have to have a super organized desk? Does that mean it's peak productivity? Not necessarily. You see, like scientists and like very inventive people, you go to the office, it's like a freaking mess.
It's like organized.
It's like organized chaos.
Chaos,
right?
yeah.
That's what works best for them. You have to find what works for you. But when I'm talking about environment, that I think one of the most important concepts I teach all my students, I'm going to teach that to you now, is the concept of the wealth triggers. Wealth triggers, meaning having items, having objects, having artifacts around you in your environment, because both your conscious and subconscious minds respond to all sorts of things, stimuli, right? Introducing like objects, including objects around us. So I want to have things that would help me to create better performance.
Rule number 2, look within.
What was the biggest challenge when I was starting out as an entrepreneur? I was getting into all these businesses and trying to kind of get rich quick, trying to make money quickly. How can I make some fast money? And I was always looking for external factors. That is this opportunity, is that business, or is that relationship that is going to make me successful, that is going to help me to build a successful business. And when I was looking for external factor to help me become successful, I was never successful. I believe to become successful, to build a good business, you always need to look within. You need to think of, you always have to be a part of the equation, that you have to take responsibility. And at the time, just like most people, I was pointing fingers, I was blaming everybody else for my failures. It's the economy, it's the customers, it's my competition, it's this, and it's always somebody else's fault except mine. Until I made that switch, once I figure out that business is actually about a few things, a few key things, such as selling a product, selling a service in exchange of money. It's what commerce is all about.
Rule number 3, walk your own path.
I think one of the things that I teach all my students, all my fans, is learn from other people, but at the same time, you need to walk your own path. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be someone that you're not, but instead, and that's one thing I always emphasize, is don't copy, learn from other people, learn the principles, right? Listen to them and observe their experience and wisdom, but be the best version of yourself, be the best that you could be, right? Because if you try to be Dan Lok, you'll fail 100% of the time. If I try to be you, I will fail 100% of the time, right? But if you be the best version of yourself and you strive to be better, every single day, just make small little improvement, you do well. You do well because no one could copy that. No one could take that away, and you are unique and you are special. I believe we are all born with certain gifts and certain talents. Then it's your job, it's our job to recognize what those talents are and to maximize them, to live our full potential.
Rule number 4, be ethical.
You see, most people, they believe that in order to become wealthy, in order to make money, you have to lie, cheat, and steal. That you have to do something unethical in order to make money. You see, unless you are making money through illegal ways, maybe you're selling drugs, you're doing something that's criminal, the only way to have long-term success, to build long-term wealth, is to be ethical. Think about it, nowadays with consumers so smart and have so many choices, when there's so much information out there, that if your product or service, if you're not adding value, you're not adding real value to people's lives, you're not going to have long-term success, because your reputation, it would destroy you. A lot of time we build relationships, we do business, and it's based on your ethics and based on your reputation. You're not going to have long-term success if you're not ethical. But see, that's what people want to believe, that, oh, if you're making a lot of money, you must be doing something wrong, you must be ripping off people, that you must be taking advantage of people. That is an idea that is planted by other people. It is simply not true. Over the years, I have met a lot of people, okay? The ones who are unethical, most of the time, not all the time, but the ones that are unethical, the ones that actually rip people off, they are the ones who don't have a lot of money. The ones who are actually generous, the one who have integrity, the one who deliver on what they promise, guess who they are? They are the wealthy people. That's how they get wealthy. Money earned is always a byproduct of value creation.
Also, if you want to have more self-love and confidence, check out my 254 series. They're free. The link to join are in the description below.
Remember this, your business is always a reflection of you. After you practice martial art, you develop this natural self-confidence. Not cockiness, but you develop this natural self-confidence. That's a problem with young people. You're not good at anything. Oh, I'm so good. No, tell me the truth. You're not good at anything.
Rule number 5, be a problem solver.
I say many times, entrepreneurs, we are nothing more than a problem solver, right? As an entrepreneur, we solve people's problems at a profit. That's what we do as an entrepreneur. And once I recognized that, then things became more clear for me that, okay, in order to do that, I need to have more capabilities. I need to have more skill sets. I need to be better. I need to develop some fundamental business skills. Because most people, they get into business without actually knowing business. They don't know how business works. They have no business acumen. They have no help from any way. They have no idea what it takes. And they actually don't even know a whole lot about the industry that they're getting into most of the time. Of course, you've heard of the statistics that most businesses, some say 95%, some say 90% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years. Of course, when you don't know what you're doing, then chances of you failing is very, very high.
Rule number 6, don't fear failure.
But you think about fear of failure, what it really is an illusion. It doesn't exist. Because even if you fail at something, you still learn something from it. Right? No one could take that experience away from you. So a lot of that is this mental bullshit that we have, that we are so afraid, oh, I don't know, what if it doesn't work, right? That's not a very empowering question, right? What if I don't know, how would people think of me, right? What if I lose money, right? What if my business doesn't take off? Like a lot of what ifs, and the reality is most of those things don't actually happen. It's this programming, this belief that we have, that we don't believe that it's gonna work. And guess what? If you don't believe it's gonna work, what happens? It doesn't work.
Rule number 7, be a great leader.
would you say is the biggest key to building a strong sense of community and just like team aspect?
Or like
For your business.
Your fans?
Yeah, like a community. Or culture.
Give a damn.
Yeah.
Give a damn about your business. I think most entrepreneurs, they're too self-centered. They're too like me. Because sometimes that's what got them to entrepreneurship. And that's who I was like before. But you have the team, the culture, the community, you gotta give a you put them ahead of your own self-interest. So it's like the good book, I think from the writer, Leaders Eat Last. That's what it is. Because it's like, have you ever watched Mel Gibson, We Were Soldiers?
No.
There was a scene where he's coming down the helicopter. He's the first one that stepped on the battlefield. He was the last one to leave. It's that kind of mentality. And you have to give it. And you cannot fake it. You cannot pretend. You cannot say it. It's what you do.
Rule number 8, learn how to close.
The number one skill that you need as an entrepreneur, it is the ability to close. It is the ability to communicate your idea, your people skill, your communication skill, because that's what you do all day. When you're talking to customers, you're closing, you are selling, right? When you're talking to a vendor, you're communicating your idea, you are closing. When you are talking to your employees, you are closing, you're selling them your vision. You're closing 24/7. So having that skill set, I believe, is very, very critical. And that's one of the things I train so many entrepreneurs around the world on, this particular skill set, on how do you close, how do you communicate your ideas, how do you take what's in here and communicate in such a way that people would understand, that you could simplify your message. It doesn't matter what business you want to get into, I believe that is the number one skill.
Rule number 9, build a good culture.
As I was talking with different, even CEOs through the show, any company that's any size, all they talk about, culture. That's all they talk about, culture. CEO of $1 billion company, culture. $500 million company, culture. That's all. The culture is the number one. Not system, not management, culture. Culture eats, write this down, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Because when you have the right culture, your people will perform, they will come up with the right strategy. Yes? When you have the right culture, solutions, you can pivot, you can change, that's okay.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is connect with your audience.
As a platform closer, as a speaker, you need to learn how to use your body language, right? How to move around, how to use that to create energy, to create emotions. Doesn't matter how good your script is, your speech is, if you cannot move, right, touch the audience emotionally, no one's gonna do anything. No one's gonna buy, they're not gonna take the next step, they're not gonna do anything. Yes? You need to and the best way is connection. I can tell you right now, you just connect. You connect with the audience. They can help because they can feel it. When you connect with them, you're talking to them. You're talking to them. Very, very important. And sometimes when you want to connect with people, they don't want to connect with you. That's okay. You keep trying. You keep trying. Because when you keep trying, they would see it. They would say, oh, just like how when you're doing the exercise, yes. When you're doing the exercise, how when your partner maybe doesn't want to connect with you, but you want to connect, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Right? It takes a few seconds, of 1 minute, 2 minutes to go into it. But once you can do that, you need to learn how to do that. Because once you made a connection, everything that you say now is going through. Right? People, like the old saying, people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care, right? Once they know you care, then whatever you're saying is going through.
Now I have a special bonus clip from Dan Lok on how to be open-minded that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. What's the failure that you need to stop fearing? Number 2, what does walking your own path look like for you? And number 3, how can you create a peak productivity environment? And if you made it this far in a video, I wanna celebrate you. Give me a hashtag believe down in the comments as well.
How do you present yourself with confidence? How do you interact with people who are maybe older, who may be more successful than you. How do you do that? First of all, I believe that rich people, wealthy people, they're just people with money. They are the same as everybody else. They have their struggles, they have their frustrations, they have goals, they have desires. Although they have more choices in life because they have money, but they have desires, they have goals, they're just like everybody else. So first of all, I believe when you're dealing with them, don't think of them as, don't put them on a pedestal. They're just regular people with money. But don't be arrogant either. When you are talking, when you're interacting with them, when you're facing them, I believe that anyone that's successful who is self-made, that they didn't get the money from like family, not second generation, things like that, where self-made, most of the time they appreciate the grit, the persistence, the tenacity, the qualities that got them to where they are today. So what it means is, if you can demonstrate those qualities, that they would see themselves in you, that hey, you know what, this kid it's got some persistence, it's got the drive, it's got the ambition, and chances are they respect that, right? Not arrogance, not like, oh man, I know what I'm talking about. You actually don't know what the hell you're doing, but you pretend you know what you're doing, which is coming from insecurities. But if you're humble, you say, I'm here to learn. That can I ask your advice? What would be your take on? When you come from a place like that, when you come from a place of learning and being open-minded and being coachable, I find that most successful people, they are generous, that they are willing to help, they are willing to give you some advice because they don't really need anything from you.
Hi, this is Dan Lok. If you're a fan of Evan's work, if you want to know exactly how to model my success, I want to invite you to join me for a special online training. All you have to do is click on the link below. You can join me for absolutely no charge. So click on the link below and I will see you in class.
If you want to see Dan Pena's top 10 rules, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
You can't hit a home run unless you're in the batter's box and you swing away, right? Actions have consequences. There is no work-life balance.